Hey everyone, Maestro here. I am the football enthusiast. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so this is the weekly roundup. It is let me just check. I always forget to check. The 20th of March, 2023. This is the series where I kind of we look back at the week that we just had of football and kind of talk about the main talking points of the week. Before I get started on the things I talk about in detail, let's start with just the little things that just quickly get out of the way because we've spoken about it before, or it's just not that big of a story, or whatever. It's already been covered, I guess. So Erling Haaland, 5 goals against RB Leipzig. He is the first player since he's the first player, sorry, second player after Lionel Messi to score 5 goals in a knockout Champions League match. So that's something. He was ridiculously good, and let's be honest, he would have scored probably a bit more if he hadn't been taken off. So that's very much notable. Once again, I always talk about the title race in the Premiership, so I just want to gloss over it here now. I don't always want to talk about Arsenal. But Arsenal with a fantastic performance against Crystal Palace. All 4 goals were just special football. Saka was fantastic. But Odegaard for me was once again the star. He was, the ratings weren't saved, but for me, Odegaard was just sensational. And if it wasn't for Haaland, I really think Odegaard would be getting the Player of the Year. And they moved 8 points clear. City do have a game in hand, but it's always nice to have the points on board. So it's something. It's the party still goes on for Arsenal. This crazy dream, and let's see if they pull through after the international break. This is a Bundesliga title race update. So Leverkusen, coached by Xabi Alonso, by the way, that's kind of special, who have been in good form. He's done a good job there, Alonso, from what I'm hearing, and he's kept off going into the international break with a 2-1 win over Bayern Munich. 2 penalties, but that's football. And with that, you can now see, let me just go right here to the Bundesliga. Dortmund are currently first. Now, over the past months or so, few months or so, we've seen that, we've seen the top spot kind of being flirted with Dortmund and Union Berlin and Bayern Munich, and now it's back to Dortmund. They are 1 point clear. 1 point clear, and it is something, because from what I understand, Bayern Munich have won the Bundesliga 10 years in a row. So it's exciting in some form that there is some sort of a race. Now, do I think that Dortmund will come through and win it? No. I feel pretty confident in saying that Bayern Munich will bring it back and will take the title. But it's nice. It's nice for some sort of mystery surrounding Bundesliga final. Moving on. Okay, so now this is where I talk about the things that I want to talk about in detail. So, Chelsea versus Everton. Now, Chelsea recently, in the past month, kind of hit some level of form, some hope, good performances. Good / good enough performances to kind of get them over the hump in a few wins. I thought against Leicester they played very well, but the games before, they just did enough. And of course, the game against Dortmund took them through to the quarterfinals. But they get hit once again. Everton, Sean Dyche's Everton, the most frustrating side, the most frustrating coach to play against, really. Come through. Chelsea led twice in the game, and Everton brought back level twice. So it ends 2-2. And my talking point for this game is, I've spoken about the outfield plays for quite a lot, and Potter, and you guys get the gist. But my whole issue with Chelsea is that I love their team. I think it's a good team. I think the personnel is fantastic. Enzo, I'm such a huge fan of Enzo. I don't think Potter is the right man, though. Just simply put, I would never have hired him in the first place, and ultimately, I do think that whether it's now or in a year, his time at Chelsea will end, and we will look back at it as a failure. That might sound a bit harsh, but it's just how I feel. But another talking point is the goalkeeper, Kepa. So, if you watch the game, you should understand that. Sorry, if you watch the game, you would have known that Kepa really messed up. He should have saved the first goal, 100%. And you could argue that the second one was also, he could have done better there too. And it kind of, once again, it's kind of gone under the radar because, of the whole transfers with the outfield plays, but they also have a goalkeeping issue. You know, for the past 2-3 years they've been going from Mendy to Kepa, then back to Mendy, then back to Kepa, and it's been a whole whole roundabout thing. But ultimately, I don't think neither are good enough. When Kepa first joined, it was just a travesty. I mean, you remember that thing happened with Sarri in the FA Cup, with the whole refusing to come off, and he's just playing bad. And from what you should know, Kepa, I believe, is the most expensive goalkeeper of all time. I think he costs around 70 million. I might be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure he is the most expensive goalkeeper of all time. And I watched him when he was at Bilbao. I thought, you know what? It's a lot of money, but I do think he's a great goalie, and it'll be interesting to see how he performs for Chelsea. But it just hasn't turned out like that. His arms are weak. This is not the first time that the ball slipped through his arms in not really a top, just kind of a sloppy shot, but it still goes through. It's not the first time that's happened. And yeah, look, with all the changes that they make Chelsea with the outfield plays, they need to change the goalkeeper too. I think that also needs to be a priority, because from what I look, title-winning teams, the defense is the first thing you work on. And the goalies and the defense is what you work on. And I think the defense is good. I'm personally, if I was a Chelsea fan, I'd be very happy with Chelsea's defense. The goalie is not good enough though, and I think they need to move on from him. And we're moving on today. So, Barca, the El Clasico. This is I believe, third El Clasico in the last 2 months, and there's a fourth on the way. It was a league game at the Bernabeu. Sorry, I can't forget that name. And then a Copa del Rey first leg at the Bernabeu, and then this is a league game at the Nou Camp, and a very important one. Before going into this game, Barcelona are 9 points clear of Real Madrid. They win Real, it's 6, and there's hope. There's something there to build on. They lose, it's 12. Essentially, Barcelona's plan should have been, I don't know if it was, but it should have been, they need to beat us, we don't need to beat them, let's go for the draw. Or so much, just let's not go for the draw, but let's just not be hasty, let's not be too over the top and too offensively heavy, and let's be a bit mature. And I think that's what they did. There were times where I saw the commentator questioning, who's really the team that's down by 9 points, but I thought Barcelona were kind of content. I thought they were kind of held back a bit by just protecting their lead at the table. And I thought Real Madrid, look, they always go down the left, don't they? It's always down the left with Vinicius, and he just didn't have the goods. The goal they scored was, let's be honest, very fortunate. It was a very, very fortunate own goal from Araujo. Courtois was fantastic. He was the man of the match, so that says something, But as a whole, it was not good enough for Real Madrid. And I thought Barcelona were kind of cool, calm, and they took their chances when it came, and that led to the 2-1 win. A great win for them, and they're now 12 points clear in terms of the title race. It's over. I mean, if they were to come out from here, that would be historic. But with the way it's looking and with the way Barcelona are playing, because I do want to note, I think Xavi's doing a great job. He's had his criticisms. I've particularly seen some comparisons with him and Zidane, and in terms of Zidane's first tenure at Real Madrid. And I just think that's extremely unfair, because Zidane inherited a side that contained the prime Modric, Kroos, Ronaldo, Benzema, Bale, Ramos. I could go on and on. This is not the same. Barcelona, Xavi is inheriting a very aging side that is entering a new generation. They just lost Messi. Okay, Busquets is not the same. PK, he's gone now, but he was there when he first joined, and he should have left 6 years ago. Roberto, look, he played well, but ultimately, I don't know how they haven't moved on from him. And just a bunch of young talents that, look, Pedri was a sparkling light, but ultimately, the squad that Xavi inherited when he first came in was not anywhere near good enough, especially compared to the side Zidane had. And I just feel those comparisons are unfair, and I think a lot of the criticisms that Xavi has had, not all, but some have been unfair. The biggest criticism for him this season was, I think, against United in the Europa League. I don't know why he played that defense in the first leg. He essentially played their second string of defenders. I don't know what he was thinking. I thought that was a very silly decision, and I honestly think they really could have come out of that tie winning. But of course, listen, Javi has a priority for the league, and I 100% get that. Of course, you'd rather win the league than win the Europa League, but it is still a knock on him just for this season. But as a whole, I think he's done well, and I would love to see him keep going. And of course, there's rumors that Messi might come back. If he does, that would be amazing. Love to see how he comes back into the side. But on Real Madrid, just to end, look, it's the same deal essentially. For most of the time with Real Madrid in the last like 15 years, it's the Champions League. That's the focus, I guess. Because it's time to know. I believe Real Madrid have only won 4 league titles in the last 14 years. I believe. I think I saw that statistic come up yesterday. That is something, They are, they have more Champions Leagues than they have league titles in that same period of time. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. And also, I guess it just kind of shows what this team is. Here's a little example. People are watching what Arsenal are doing, and they think that it's been great, it's fantastic, great football. But a lot of people have concerns about Arsenal in knockout competitions. Not so much in the Europa League, because it's the Europa League and we're playing our second string players some of the time. But even in the Champions League, can you play an inverted left back in the Champions League? Can you play such plays that come out and kind of Arteta allows them to be themselves? Because in the Champions League, in knockout format, you kind of need plays to be basic and strict, and more than anything, defensively spot on. And that is the thing with Real Madrid. They are those things, but it ultimately does not set them up for a good league run. They won it last year, but Barcelona were dreadful last year. This year, Barcelona are a good team, strong side, and they're 12 points clear right now. But yeah, that's just a note. But ultimately, Barcelona, I think it sucks with what's happening in Europe. It's been nowhere near good enough. I mean, since Messi has left, they have been knocked out of the group stage of the Champions League 2 years in a row, and then knocked out of the Europa League itself. That's pathetic. That's not Barcelona. That's so weird to me. Growing up and knowing Barcelona, this elite side, and that's their achievements in Europe in the last 2 years. It's ridiculous. That's not good enough. But listen, the La Liga title race is most definitely in Barcelona's hands. I can't see them. There's 12 games left. Come on now, they should win. But with Real Madrid, their season will once again be saved if they get a Champions League title. Now, can they? Of course they can. It's possible. They have the personnel. They have the experience. They've been there before. They have the resilience. Let's see if they pull through. Moving on to the Serie A. So this isn't a Serie A title race. This is just something I want to bring up. Juventus got a good 1-0 win against Inter Milan. Inter Milan have been kind of awful this season. They drew I want to point out on my video where I spoke about the Champions League draw, I mentioned that Inter Milan will be favourites against Benfica. I don't know why I said that. I think I didn't put much thought into it. I think I said that because it's Inter Milan. It's football royalty, and Benfica, whilst Benfica are also a historic side, not as much as Inter Milan, and I think that's kind of what pushed me forward to say that Inter Milan were the favourites. But no, Benfica are the favourites. Inter Milan have been at best mediocre this season, and Benfica, yes, in the Portuguese league, and yes, it was against Club Brugge in the Champions League, but they've played very attractive football, and I think they should be the favourites. And Inter Milan just not good enough. But the point of this segment is Juventus. So they got a nice 1-0 win. Now, the biggest story about Juventus, where's the league table? I'm trying to find the league table. The biggest story about Juventus this season is that, of course, as you probably know, they got a 15-point deduction halfway through the season through, I don't know what it was, I don't know who it involved, but it was a whole crazy topic, and it was insane. But even with that deduction, Juventus find themselves, so they're on 4. They are 7 points behind 4th place with 11 games to go. And the point of this, like, they could do it. Like, Look at this. They have 17 wins, but only 41 points. That's insane. 5 draws, only 41 points. That's crazy. But the point is, I think they could do it. And because people talk about Juventus and how, Barcelona and Juventus kind of, for me, they were in a similar situation of just, they left a period of dominance and left a period of them being a great side to entering a new era, new players, new managers, and just new everything. Barcelona, I think, have done okay. The league's been great, and I think they are on the right track. And I think people have saying, well, Juventus aren't. They're 7th, blah, 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 and they're in the Europa League. But I think they are. If they never had the 15 points deduction, they'd be on 56 points. They'd be 2nd. They jumped from 7th to 2nd. 2nd by 4 points, by the way. 4 points clear of Lazio. They're on a good progression. I'm a fan of Allegri. I'm a fan of the team itself. Chiesa, Vlahovic. Good plays. Di Maria has been on fire for them. From what I understand. Sorry about that. Plays like, look at this. Rabiot's been playing great. Rabiot's he's a surprise, isn't he? Ultimately, look, good plays, a good team, and I think that they should kind of be allowed to have a bit of leeway from criticism. I like what's happening over there. I like Allegri, like I said before, and I do think that they can get into the top 4. Do I think they will? 60% of me says no. It's 7 points. Juventus, whilst, like I just said, they are on the path of progression, they're not perfect. They will lose probably a few more games, but you never know. And what is definitely, for me, 100% certain, they are the 2nd best team in the league. It just sucks for them with the 15-point deduction. And yeah, also in the Europa League, let's not forget about the Europa League. They are in the Europa League. They are the favourites alongside Manchester United. So that's interesting to see how that turns out. Of course, with Juventus, you'd think that they probably should put some priority into the Europa League, because that is another way to get into the Champions League, to win the Europa League. And of course, being a side like Juventus not getting into the Europa League, that's kind of insane. Yeah. Of course, it's understandable with the points deduction, but at the end of the day, Juventus have a set of players that are high quality and probably won't want to, hash out a year in the Europa League once again. So that could be a huge issue for Juventus. But it's noteworthy. 15-point deduction, but they still find themselves only 7 points away. They could do it. Will they? Probably not. But if they do, one achievement. And as a whole, they seem to be on the way up. And like Barcelona, I'm interested to see how it turns out. I like Allegri and I like Xavi, and I like Barcelona, I like Juventus. I'd love to see them both be back to how good they were. Moving on to the final topic of the day. So, this isn't so much about, look, this was the most hectic game of the season. I've never seen, you see this right here, this 1 red, 2 reds, 3 reds. Willian Mitrovic, it doesn't say here, but also Marco Silva, the Fulham manager. You know how people say, oh, the game just turned on its head out of nothing. Essentially, when people say that, it's not out of nothing. It's a gradual thing. Maybe a team is on the back foot, but then the midfielders of the side take action and they kind of trying to recover the ball much better, and they protect the ball much better. And then they string a few passes together, and they go from there, and they build up, and eventually they get a few chances off. Some are kind of bad chances, but then they get a corner, and it's a good corner, and it hits the post, blah, blah, blah. And then that's when, they get a goal. And then you say, the game flipped on its head. It's a gradual thing most of the time. And it's mainly because of the other team's performance. This game flipped on its head instantly, straight away, because of the referee. I want to start by saying, firstly, I do think Willian deserved to get sent off. I do think Mitrovic deserved to get sent off. Marco Silva, it depends on what he said. Because that seemed a bit rash, just straight red. You know, I'm not entirely sure if Marco Silva was complaining before, if he had a yellow. I don't think he did, but I think the Marco Silva red was a bit much, but that's not a big deal. It's the players that matters the most. So like I said, yeah, they're all reds, but this is kind of the definition of Fulham. It's a cosign from Fulham and the referees handing Manchester United the win. And if you're Fulham, you really, really, literally have to kick yourselves in the foot here. Like, they were fantastic. So the red card was on the 72nd minute. For 71 minutes, they were by far the better team. And they had the game in the bag. In fact, even if... So, the Willian's red because he blocked Sancho's shot with his hand. If Willian hadn't blocked that shot, and Sancho's shot had gone in, and then you play from there, it's 11 versus 11 still. I'm still, with the way they've been performing, I'm going for Fulham to win that game still. That's how good they were playing. It was a fantastic performance. Up to bottom. Mitrovic was Martinez, like, their defense could not handle Mitrovic. They could not. That was just a huge, there was an issue from the first minute to the last. To the 72nd minute when he got sent off. They could not handle him. And the defense was perfect. Even with that goal, I still think they would have gone on to potentially have won that game. It would have been close. But they just blew up. Willian, look, I think he should have, look, I mean, it's so tough. I mean, what do you do in a situation? I mean, I guess it's for me, I'm going to put my hands back and just kind of thrust my chest forward. That's probably what I would do. And if it goes in, it goes in, okay. But at least we don't have 10 men in the penalty, you know. But I'm not gonna. It's an instinct thing. It's football. It's how it happens. But Mitrovic is a tough lad, isn't he? I feel like when Mitrovic comes from, that is kind of allowed. Now, what I'm going to make a point here, but I want to make it clear. I do think he deserves to get sent off. But here's my point. Maybe the referee shouldn't have sent him off. Because here's my thing. The referee has just given Willian a red card. Not only that, it's a 2-punch because it's also a penalty. Not only that, you've sent off their manager. I understand he kind of he really pushes your hand to the right to kind of get you face to face, but could you not maybe understand the situation? The tempers are high, and the fact that you kind of just shot them, you kind of they have a penalty, Man United, and they have 10 men for them. Could you not kind of maybe, hey, you know what? Even though I kind of already killed off the game with the red card to Willian and the penalty, maybe I shouldn't seal and deliver the game to Man United with a red card to Mitrovic. Now, that's just me being devil's advocate. Maybe could the referee have taken that point of view? I don't agree with that. I'm just saying maybe that's something that should be brought up. Maybe referees should referee a situation depending on the situation. You know? I mean, we see this all the time. All the time. When a team is, if a team is winning 3-0, and then the team that's winning 3-0 is once again in the opposition's box and they get fouled and it's clearly a penalty, but because they're losing 3-0 already, the referee's like, nah, I'll let it off. Just it wasn't that much of a big deal. I'll play on. We've seen that before many times, where players their decisions change depending on the situation. But look, once again, I want to make it clear, I do think you deserve to get sent off. In the Premiership, you can't do that to the referee. I mean, I'm sure there are other leagues where you can, but not in the Premiership. Should you be allowed to do that? Maybe, he pushed him a bit. It doesn't matter. But the one final thing on the whole situation, just to sum up, Fulham, you really, really messed up. United, very fortunate. It was such a crazy game. Extremely fortunate, but it is what it is. The draw is, I believe, here's the draw right here. Brighton against Manchester United. City against Sheffield United at Wembley. Both games at Wembley. And it's, I mean, we can all see, we all know what we're thinking. It's a Manchester derby final. City will beat Sheffield United. I mean, I think Pep will continue to put emphasis on the FA Cup as he did against Burnley, and I think they'll be fine there. Brighton are a very enjoyable team to watch this season, and they can do it. If I will say this, if United play like they did against Fulham, they will lose. They will lose. Convincingly, they will lose, like 2-0, 2-3-0. But yeah, I'm actually interested. Look, I'm not excited about the City match because it's clearly City, but the Brighton United match is a good game. Let's see how it goes. You know what? I would love to see a United City final. That would be a spectacle. But you know, the cynical in me, the Arsenal fan in me, wants Sheffield and Brighton to pull through. Probably won't happen, but it is what it is. There was one more thing I wanted to bring up. Yeah, no, I don't think that. Never mind. It is, look. So yeah, that's the video, guys. That's the weekly roundup. What's coming? It's the international break. Most boring time of the year. But you know, it's actually fun to see. You know, Argentina back together again after the World Cup win. Ronaldo has been called up to Portugal once again. That'll be fun to watch. Southgate for flip's sake, Southgate. He called up Maguire and Dyer and left Tomori out. I mean, he's a coward, isn't he? He doesn't want to change up what he already has. He's too afraid to change. It sucks, but we're stuck with Southgate, guys. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for, you know, hanging out. It's been 27 minutes. Wow. If you guys liked, please leave a like. If you guys want to see more, please subscribe. What do you guys think? Do you guys disagree, agree with any of my points? Please let me know down below. Let's get a discussion going. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day, and please take care of yourself.